Solo Sikoa just declared war, brutally attacks Jacob Fatu and steals his sacred necklace. Right, picture this. The cameras stop rolling. The red light on Monday Night Raw switches off. The crowd's gone home thinking they've just watched the OG Bloodline come together in perfect harmony. And then, completely out of shot, completely off the record, one of their own gets dragged into a concrete corridor and absolutely battered by the very man who was supposed to be his brother. No ring, no referee, no rules, just betrayal, blood, and a stolen necklace that means more than any championship belt WWE could ever produce. If you think you saw the real story on Raw this week, mate, you saw nothing. The real story happened after the cameras died. Quick favor before we dive into the footage: if you enjoy this kind of content, please smash that like button and hit subscribe to Wrestling Stands. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It's totally free for you, but it genuinely means the world to us and helps this channel grow. Already subscribed? You absolute legend, thank you. Right, let's get into it. So let's set the scene properly, because context is everything here. This wasn't some throwaway moment. On the 15th of June, Roman Reigns stood in that ring and did something he doesn't do for just anyone. He welcomed Jacob Fatu into the OG Bloodline. Not as muscle, not as a lackey, as family. And to seal it, he placed the brown Ula Fala around Fatu's neck. Now if you're not familiar with what that actually represents, let me break it down, because this is the bit casual fans skim past, and it's exactly why this story hits so hard. The Ula Fala isn't a prop. It's not some shiny bit of WWE merchandise they wheeled out for a pop. In Samoan culture, it's a symbol worn by chiefs, by men who carry authority, respect, and responsibility on their shoulders. So when Roman Reigns drapes that thing around your neck, he's not just saying welcome to the group chat. He's saying you matter. You're trusted. You're one of us now. Think of it like being handed the keys to the family business after years of proving yourself, except the family business is terrifying people for a living and the keys are made of bone and shell. For one shining moment, it looked like unity. It looked like the Bloodline, the real Bloodline, the OG version, not the imitation knockoff Solo's been running about with, was stronger than ever. Roman Reigns smiling. Jacob Fatu, this snarling, chaotic force of nature, suddenly being embraced like a long-lost cousin at a barbecue. Beautiful stuff. Properly beautiful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly the kind of moment WWE loves to let you sit in, right before they rip the rug clean out from under you. Because here's where it gets dark, and properly fast. The second those cameras cut, the second the live broadcast went off air, Solo Sikoa was already lurking. Not in the ring, not under the lights. In a backstage corridor, cold, grey, the kind of place where nobody's watching and nobody's there to help you. And that's exactly where he wanted Jacob Fatu. This wasn't a spontaneous outburst. This was planned, calculated, and patient. Solo waited for the cameras to switch off precisely because he knew what he was about to do couldn't survive in the light. He ambushed Fatu without warning and slammed him straight into a concrete wall. Not a turnbuckle, not a padded mat, concrete. Let that sink in for a second. There's no giving concrete, no bounce, no mercy. It's the difference between falling onto a sofa and falling onto a motorway. Fatu, this enormous, dominant presence who terrifies grown men for a living, got turned into a rag doll in a hallway by someone who, quite frankly, has been losing an awful lot lately. And we'll come back to that, because it matters more than you think. So Fatu's down. He's dazed. He's bleeding. And Solo isn't finished, not even close. This is where it goes from violent to downright symbolic, and honestly, this is the bit that should be sending chills down the spine of every OG Bloodline fan watching. Solo reaches down and rips the Ula Fala straight off Fatu's neck. Now stop and think about what that actually means. This isn't snatching a chain off someone in a street fight for a laugh. This is stripping a man of the one symbol that represents trust, leadership, and belonging within that culture. It's the wrestling equivalent of someone tearing a wedding ring off your finger mid-ceremony, except this ring represents an entire bloodline's worth of respect. Solo didn't just want to hurt Fatu physically, he wanted to erase what Roman gave him. He wanted to make a statement that screams, you were never really one of them, and I'll prove it by taking the one thing that says otherwise. And then, because apparently humiliation alone wasn't enough, Solo leaves him there, bleeding, on the floor, powerless. And he doesn't just walk off into the shadows like some mysterious villain, no, he leans down and tells Fatu, in no uncertain terms, that he picked the wrong side. Picked the wrong side. From the man who's currently got no titles, no faction loyal to him, and a tribal combat loss to Roman Reigns sitting on his record like a stain that won't wash out. The audacity of that statement alone deserves its own highlight reel. Now here's where we need to pump the brakes for a second and ask the obvious question, why now? Why would Solo Sikoa, of all people, choose this exact moment to snap? Because let's be honest about where Solo currently stands. This is a man who's lost it all in spectacular, slow-motion fashion. He lost his tribal chief authority. He lost the loyalty of the very faction he built around himself. And to top it all off, he lost a tribal combat match directly to Roman Reigns, the kind of defeat that doesn't just sting, it humiliates. It's the wrestling equivalent of getting demoted, dumped, and locked out of your own house in the same week. There's nowhere left to fall except into desperation, and desperation, my friends, makes men do exactly the kind of thing we just witnessed in that corridor. So when Solo watched Roman hand that necklace to Jacob Fatu, a man who hasn't put in anywhere near the years of sacrifice Solo has, something inside him simply combusted. Imagine working at a company 4 years, getting passed over for promotion, watching the new guy walk in and get handed your old office within a week. That's the energy here. Except instead of sulking in a meeting room, Solo expressed his feelings through concrete walls and stolen jewelry. And here's the bit that turns this whole situation from a backstage scuffle into a full-blown declaration of war. Solo didn't do this quietly. He didn't sneak off into the night with his prize and disappear. He made sure Fatu knew exactly who did it and exactly why. This wasn't theft for theft's sake, this was a message sent directly to Roman Reigns and the entire OG bloodline. It says, loud and clear, I am not done. I am not finished. And I am certainly not going to sit back and watch you build a new empire while I rot in the shadows of my own mistakes. Think about the position this puts Roman Reigns in now. He just publicly, ceremonially welcomed Jacob Fatu into the fold, practically guaranteed his protection, his trust, his backing. And within minutes of the cameras cutting, that very protection got tested in the most violent way possible. If Roman doesn't respond to this, it makes the ceremony look hollow. It makes the OG bloodline look like it can't even protect its newest member for one single night. But if Roman does respond, and let's be honest, when has Roman Reigns ever let an insult like this slide, then we are absolutely guaranteed fireworks. We're talking retaliation, retribution, and quite possibly the kind of explosive confrontation that turns an entire arena upside down. And what about Fatu himself? This is a man who just got told he belongs, just got handed a symbol of trust and unity, and within the same evening got humiliated, blooded, and robbed by his own cousin. That's not just a physical injury, that's a wound to pride that doesn't heal with ice packs and painkillers. Expect Fatu to come back angrier, faster, and far more dangerous than before, because nothing motivates a big man quite like public humiliation in a dark corridor. So where does this leave us? Solo Sikoa, a man with nothing left to lose, has just made the loudest possible statement that he refuses to fade quietly into irrelevance. He's taken the one symbol that defines legitimacy within that family and turned it into a trophy of defiance. This is no longer a rivalry simmering under the surface, this is open warfare, declared in blood, sealed with a stolen necklace, and broadcast to anyone backstage who happened to be watching. One thing's for certain, whatever happens next, it will not be quiet, and it will not be subtle. Solo Sikoa just lit the fuse, and the OG bloodline now has to decide how loud they want the explosion to be. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.